All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachah Kodash. Double honors to our apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing and many salutations unto you elect across the four winds of this earth, fulfilling your lots in all truth and all sincerity. I am the brother Sha'ar from the Great Millstone Doubters branch, coming to you all with another lesson through the Spirit. The Lord's willing, this lesson here is edifying into the flock. And I just wanted to put something on wax that I was meditating on within the last the last hour or so, something I've been thinking about. Now, what inspired me to have that thought, I was reading earlier in Joshua, the 24th chapter. Joshua giving a speech to the children of Israel in his old age, letting them know to put away their idols. That way, when they get established in the land that they've entered into, that the Lord had given them, it'll be a clean slate from after we left Egypt, after we left captivity. It was a clean slate entering into that land. 1 second. And as I was reading that, it even had me thinking about us re-entering back into the promised land. You know, because Joshua told them to put away their idols. What those idols did was keep us separated from the Lord. You can think about the examples. For example, when we received the land of Canaan, the first area that we had conquered pretty much was Jericho. And you read about that in very grave detail. And after we took Jericho, it was commanded that we don't take anything, any sort of idol, not even a piece of clothing that's tied to any other idol of those Canaanites, you know, and that was commanded. And immediately when that took place, you had one of those Israelites that took a Babylonian garment. He wanted that damn drip. He took a Babylonian garment, and we went into fight against those Canaanites in the land of Ai. A few of us started getting slaughtered. And Jake had to inquire of the Lord. Joshua had to inquire of the Lord why it took place. And the Lord said one of the Israelites had did what the Lord commanded him not to do, and that was to take something that was attached and tied to an idol, and the Lord stopped fighting for us. And I wanted to use that as an example of something I was pondering, because when Joshua told them that and told them to put them idols away, you know, they agreed to it. They agreed to it and said, we serve one God, and the living power is who we serve, you know. But you had Israelites that was still partaking in heathenistic customs on the low. When you read that chapter, you could tell, because if it wasn't the case, he wouldn't have told them to put away their idols, you know. So that thought was entertained earlier as I was thinking, and as we were entering into the land of Canaan, it was a requirement for us to put all this stuff away. And you see by a pattern of things, when we get in the spirit of putting things away, putting more things away in the flesh, you experience on a whole nother level the glory of the Lord being revealed to you. And it doesn't always got to be in the form of chariot showing or dreams that you have, but you just have that confidence. You have that confidence to approach the throne of grace with boldness when you are dealing with less. Because out here in Babylon, man, I tell you what, everything can be turned to an idol if you use it too much. You know, there's so many tricks and things that are set out here to trap us up and snare us from worshiping our God. Esau was very crafty on how he did this and keep us down. You know, he put up snares and stumbling blocks all over the place to entertain us and reel us in, to focus on that and not the things that truly matter. And that leads me to this precept here in Ephesians, the 5th chapter. You know, and I'm going to start at verse 8. And it says, "For ye were sometimes in darkness, but now are ye light in the world. Walk as the children of light. For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness and righteousness and truth, providing what is acceptable unto the Lord. Have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them." All right, and that's pretty much the same thing in a nutshell. What Joshua told the children of Israel to put away those idols, the same thing that Jacob told his house when he was over there in the land of Shechem, where they buried their idols underground. He told them to have no part within those, because you see, when you get close to things of the world, all right, and start desiring the affairs of this life, that's an easy way to separate yourself from the Lord. All right. And this is the last thing. That's the last thing. All right. That we do not want to be separated from when all hell's about to break loose. We finna see the Lord do some very ugly shit to a lot of people. All right. That are very ugly people. The Lord is about to slam that gavel down in some crucial judgment. And it's right before we enter into the land. And we don't want to get hit with what the Lord is about to bring because of certain things that we might have delving and engulfing ourselves in too much. Don't get me wrong. Of course, you're here. You might have certain pastimes, things that you might be involved in, things that you like to do, but we don't want to get into the point where you turn that into an idol because you're giving that so much attention, but it's hard for you to pick up the scriptures and start reading. It's hard for you to pull up your phone and go to your laptop and do your lesson. It gets in your way of you doing something to be a brother. Whatever the case is, if it's anything that is unfruitful to the spirit and you see yourself developing and gaining a pattern of doing that more than spiritual works, that has to be rechecked. That has to be checked, man, especially as we're entering into the time that we're entering into right now. And I can't stress that enough. All right? Because it's about to get ugly, and you see the pattern of guys that had maybe fell out and such. A lot of guys fell out, but before they fell out, they were just head over heels in the world. And you don't want to be in the spirit of being around so many people in the world that you lose a grasp on how to deal with when it comes to the truth and serving the Lord. Because there could be times you're around people in the world and you start having their conversation and you don't even know that that's seeping or bleeding over, I should say, into the brotherhood. Then brothers are starting to see certain things and they'll call it out. That's what a brother's supposed to do. But I'm just going into the pattern. All right. And that's why it's important for us to separate ourselves more from these things. If you see yourself developing and being a pattern, more of being involved in too many things that really don't matter, maybe it's time to separate yourself from it for a little bit. All right. There's a scripture that actually comes to mind in Sirach. And give me 1 sec while I pull it up. Hold on 1 sec, y'all. I forgot it where it's located at in Sirach. Let me see here. If somebody can post it on the comment board and Lord's willing, the Spirit will have me remember it. I'm driving, so I don't want to spend too much time looking down at my screen. But it goes into not having, being involved in many matters. Not being involved in many matters. If you're juggling all these different things and you're trying to entertain so many people and so many things, it'll be harder. Matter of fact, the Spirit just had me remember it. The Wadiyah Bashim Yahushua. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 38, and I'm going to start at verse 24. Hold on 1 second. This is an app I'm not used to. Okay, Sirach 38 and 24. It says, "The wisdom of a learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure, and he that hath little business shall become wise." So we have to take heed to scriptures like this more than ever. All right, namely for those of us that are coming in and learning and being developed. We want to make sure that we're coming into this day that's coming ahead with as less of duties as possible. I don't want to say less of duties, but being attached to less things. If it's becoming too overbearing and too much. All right. You don't want to come into this thing in the spirit of, and when I say come into this thing, come into this day that's ahead, when you're already been in the spirit of just living it up in Babylon, being around all these people in the world. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully this is making sense so far. No, you want to make sure that you're solitary, all right, and keeping the main thing. That way, when this transition does happen, it'll be a lot more smoother, and you're not trying to force the course and try to change a lifestyle too much. Now, granted, our lifestyles are going to change, but if you've already been used to putting things to the side and being without certain things is not going to be as drastic as somebody that is completely entertained and comforted on this side and was not willing to let these things go. All right. So this is back in Sirach 38:24. The wisdom of a learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure, and he that hath little business shall become wise. How can a man get wisdom holding the plow, and that glorieth in the gold, that driveth oxen, and is occupied in their labors, and whose talk is of bullocks? He giveth his mind to make furrows, and is diligent to give the kind fodder. Salakia. Hold on one second. He giveth his mind to make furrows, and is diligent to give the kind fodder. So every carpenter and every workmaster that laboreth night and day, and they that cut the grave seals, and are more diligent to make great variety, and give themselves to counterfeit imagery, and watch to finish a work, the smith also sitting by the anvil, and considering the ironwork, the vapor of the fire wasteth his flesh. All right. So he's using a smith right here in his final example. He's sitting there trying to figure out what he's going to make. But the whole time, the fire's still blowing. You got things that you got to do, or you might be too tired to do the job. All right. If you're a dang smith and you making a weapon, but you got all these other things that you're handling, you might not have the strength to bang that anvil and turn that sword, that piece of steel, into a sword, So there's a lot more to this precept here, but it pretty much is hitting the point. We don't want to approach this day coming, all right, with the spirit of not being willing to let a few of these things go that we've been used to. All right, because a lot of these things can become an idol. Your job can become an idol. Your woman can become an idol. Your comfort can become an idol. Your comfort can become an idol, man. All right, because if it doesn't get you closer to the Lord and you delve more and more in it, man, that becomes an idol. And just as they did in Shechem, all right, they did it in Shechem in the days of Jacob, and they did it in Shechem in the days of Joshua. They denounced those idols and said, Lord, we will serve you and only you. That way he was with them. When you read about it, he was with them after they did that. When you read about it in Genesis, I believe in Genesis 35, it goes into how the Lord and the nation of Israel was a terror unto our enemies because we put all that stuff away. So the day that we're approaching, man, we start getting more in the spirit of putting a lot of these things away. Oh, man, I mean, it's already a terror unto these nations right now. Look at Babylon. Look at the state of Babylon, man. A lot of this is happening because we've turned away and repented, So just imagine the more things that take place when you separate yourself and put certain things away, when you choose to get closer unto the Lord. Because we already seeing it now, but just wait until you really start focusing and getting closer. The Lord will do things that'll blow our mind, and we're going to clearly see. We see it right now, but you're going to see it more and more that he's with us. You're going to experience, I'd rather say, more and more that he's with you. And things going to happen a lot quicker. You know what I'm saying? So this is a motivational video, all right, but at the same time, informative, because we see the pattern of it with our forefathers. When they buried those idols and put that stuff away, it only got them closer to the Lord. So it's a no-brainer. We know how to get closer unto the Lord, all right, and that's separating from yourself. That's separating Salaki, yourself, from the world. And that's what being holy is, being a saint. It means to be separate. What are you being separate from? The world. All right? Who are you being closer to if you're being separated from the world? The Lord. Okay? So I'm going to end it off on there. I believe I touched upon the point. I didn't intend on this lesson being long at all. This is just in a quick little in transit. And I just wanted to say a few things that I was pondering. The call, Holo Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Double honors to our apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing and many salutations unto you elect across the four winds of this earth, fulfilling your lots in all truth and all sincerity. Shalom.